Fourth placed Harlequins travelled to Franklin's Garden to take on second place Northampton. The match was full of intriguing head-to-heads, and the battle of the fly halves was one of them. Stephen Myler put the home side ahead with just 3 minutes on the clock. 3 minutes later, Nick Evans drew Quins level, and with a quarter of an hour gone, the former All Black pushed them in front. Both tens appeared to be struggling with injury, but despite this, Myler levelled the match, while Quins were down to 14 men when Tom Guess was sin-binned for side entry at the Mall. 6-6 at the break. Evans was replaced by Ben Botica at half-time, but Myler stayed on, although at times it didn't look like the right decision. George North knocked on with the try-line gaping just minutes into the second stanza, but the Lions' wing was presented with another opportunity to cross the whitewash a minute later. Charlie Walker stood no chance against North at full tilt, and Northampton were 5 clear. Barely able to walk, Myler added the extras, and the decision to keep him on almost justified. The two fly halves exchanged penalties before the Saints found themselves with a line out deep in the Quins 22. Paul Duran-Jones had been shown yellow for coming offside at the Mall, and the home side pushed hard for the try. Quins knocked it back, but it was Northampton's captain and hooker Dylan Hartley who crossed over. His battle against Quins' Dave Ward was another eagerly anticipated head-to-head, and again it was the Saints player who came out on top. Again Myler added the extras, and only after his kick was he allowed a rest. Northampton were to receive a yellow card of their own when George Pesey's brutal arm-length tackle was referred to the TMO. So no bonus point for Quins, but they stay in the top 4 until at least Sunday, while Sarries reclaim top spot and a full 20-point cushion over reigning champions Leicester.
Newcastle finished strongly against Wasps last week, and they started this game well enough, but for Phil Godman in particular, this was as good as things got. The fly-half second-minute penalty was quickly cancelled out by Danny Cipriani, but the Sale number 10 also dropped off his recent high standards, in conditions it seems only Kingston Park can provide. Missed penalties all round as the first quarter ended. Cipriani off target once, Godman twice, and it was Newcastle who paid the price for those wasted opportunities. Sale surging across the pitch to create an overlap. Johnny Leota with the final pass to send Tom Brady over. Cipriani stretched the lead to 7 points, and the Sharks were edging towards just their second win in 21 visits to the North East. Newcastle's fate seemed rather more familiar, but amid 5 straight league defeats they had rediscovered the art of try-scoring, and Andy Saul barrelled over with less than half an hour played. A platform they couldn't build on. Cipriani had one more success from the tee, but it was his replacement Nick McLeod who added the only score of a forgettable second half. Sale's already remote relegation fears now surely banished after a second away win of the season to avenge Newcastle's victory at Salford back in September. The Falcons' last attempt to salvage the losing bonus point typically flawed, and afterwards it wasn't hard to spot which boss was happier with a difficult night's work.
Holding on.
Saracens were the visitors to Gloucester, and with just one win to their name since 2005 at Kingsholm, the game was destined to be tougher than their respective league positions would suggest. But Saracens were in ruthless mood, and with just 3 minutes on the clock, Mato Vinopola was hauled down short of the line, and Gloucester scrum half Jimmy Cowan was sent to the sin bin for his part in illegally halting the drive. Farrell kicked the penalty to give the visitors a 3-point lead before Neil de Kock crossed over out wide for the game's first try, to make it 8-0 with just 10 minutes played. A second Farrell penalty hoisted Saracens 11 points clear before their pinpoint offloading game caused endless trouble for Gloucester. Slick passing by Brad Barrett, Good and Brits saw David Strettle as the man who touched down. The teams were separated by 25 points in the Premiership before kick-off, and this gulf was emphatically underlined as Farrell's third penalty put Saracens further ahead. A brief spell of pressure from Gloucester resulted in Billy Twelvetrees kicking a penalty, but it did nothing to mask Saracens' overwhelming control of the contest. The Gloucester pack were obliterated in the set pieces. Saracens scrum shunting Gloucester backwards, securing possession, and when the ball came wide, Alex Good had a simple run-in. Farrell's conversion made it 26-3, and Saracens had the best part of 30 minutes to score a try bonus point. But number 8 Billy Vinopola was sin-binned for illegal work on the ground, and then the visitors lost skipper Steve Borthwick. Even down to 13 players though, Saracens looked in little trouble. Another Farrell penalty rubbed salt into Gloucester's wounds before Matt Cox touched down from close range in the 70th minute for a consolation try. The try bonus went begging, but Saracens were imperious against a Gloucester side that looked devoid of ideas and inspiration. Final score, Gloucester Rugby 8, Saracens 29. With London Irish in 11th and Worcester Warriors in 12th in the Aviva Premiership table, all eyes were on this bottom of the table clash in Reading as the season turns into the home straight into round 12. London Irish drew first blood with a penalty from James O'Connor, but Chris Pennell was able to level things shortly afterwards. And it was the Worcester man who put his side in front for the first time after O'Connor missed 2 efforts in the first quarter. But on the stroke of half-time, the Australian managed to find his range once more, and the scores were tied going into the break. With both sides needing to find more of an attacking edge in the second half, it was London Irish who came out fighting. Several forays into the Worcester half bringing about penalties. O'Connor slotted all 3 of them, including this 5th successful kick that followed a yellow card for Worcester's Argentinian number 8, Leonardo Senatore. With their tails up and the volume increasing at the Madstad, Irish went in search of a try. Once the forwards had done their work, Shane Geraghty fired a long pass to O'Connor and he scored his first try for the club, which he converted to go with his haul of kicks. A final penalty from Chris Pennell was all Worcester could muster, and Dean Ryan's men left Reading without a single point, rooted to the bottom of the table, awaiting a visit from Leicester in the next round. For Irish, they're up to 10th above Newcastle and looking upwards. Final score at the Madejski Stadium, London Irish 22, Worcester Warriors 9.
It had been over a decade since Bath won at Welford Road, and in a classic encounter they came within 2 minutes of achieving the feat. The Tigers had opened their scoring account first, Miles Benjamin forcing his way over after sustained pressure in the opposition territory. But then came the Bath backlash, Nick Abendanon linking up with colleague Anthony Watson, who ran in for the score. Carl Eastman, fresh from a brilliant score at Franklin Gardens in round 11, created momentum that gave Francois Lowe the chance to put Bath ahead. The first half finished in a kicking battle between the fly halves, as Owen Williams and George Ford traded penalties, sending the visitors to the break with a 6-point advantage. The Bath backline continued to look deadly going forward, and they had their third try through Jonathan Joseph's determined finish. Bath were 10 points to the good with 20 minutes to play, and the Tigers' resolve was being severely tested. The home fans rallied, and replacement Thomas Waldron was on hand to heave over the try line. And with the clock running down, it was back rower Jamie Gibson who grabbed the crucial score, drawing the sides level on 27 points. Williams failed to add the extras, giving Leicester their second home draw of the season.
Exeter's disappointment at Twickenham was quickly quelled as Dave Lewis scampered over from the edge of the 22 to put Chiefs into the lead after just 80 seconds. The scrum half's first try since May 2011 converted by Henry Slade as the 20-year-old standoff made his first Premiership start. Slade was to add a further 2 penalties in the opening half, as all Wasps could muster was a single reply, Elliot Daly producing 1 monster effort from halfway in what was an otherwise underwhelming performance from the hosts in the first 40. Good kicked 2 early penalties in the second half to reduce the deficit to 4, and then Joe Simpson, not wanting to be upstaged by his opposite number, ran in from an almost identical position to Lewis to score under the posts and put Wasps 3 points in the clear with just a quarter of the match remaining. It was Simpson's first try of the season and his first touchdown since December 2012. Exeter looked to have retaken the lead with 10 minutes left on the clock as Slade and Tom James combined when the ball fell fortuitously to the fly half, and their interchange of passes saw Slade gallop over the line. However, Simpson's last-ditch tackle prompted enough doubt in referee Dean Richards' mind to go upstairs, and on closer reflection it was shown to have been enough to hold the ball up and stop the certain score. Slade kicked a penalty minutes later to send the game into its final seconds all square, but Wasps were to sneak a close encounter with the last kick of the game. Good's 4th drop goal of the season, winning it for the home team. Final score 19-16 to Wasps, elevating them to 6th in the table.